Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ian Gamesmith. This is my world building and indie RPG channel. We have an awesome show for you tonight. I'm super excited. We have the designers of Descent into Midnight. This is the third part of our Games by Design series featuring Descent into Midnight, and we've rounded up the whole posse here today. Taylor will be here in just a moment, but he is on his way. You, of course, know Richard, who's been running the game for the last two sessions, and we're joined by Rich Howard tonight, which is fantastic.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, really excited. Thank you so much for making the time in your busy schedule to come out here, and you're celebrating your belated birthday with us as well. Is that right?
That's right. Belated birthday and Father's Day.
And it's actually technically my birthday today. So
oh wow.
It's
So,
a good
yeah,
weekend.
Definitely. We should definitely harass these people on Twitter with happy birthday.
Richard and I went out to dinner the other day. James Malloy from Protein City was in San Diego randomly. We went out to dinner and we both got birthday desserts. It was delicious.
It was awesome.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Thank you guys so much. This has been so much fun to be able to play your game and hear your thoughts on it and kind of explore it with you guys. I'd also like to thank Amato for coming out and for joining us with this. It's been a pleasure playing with you as well. I'm going to take a quick second to say the next thing that's going to be happening on this channel is I'm going to be doing a fundraising stream for Big Bad Con's scholarship fund with Ken Davidson. Has arranged a Radio Free Wolf 2-day streamathon, a whole bunch of fun stuff. Variant Rolls is in there, One Shot, a whole bunch of people have contributed time to that, raising money to get as many people who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to come to Big Bad Con and just make it a big welcome space for everybody. I'm going for the first time this year. I'm super stoked about it. So my show is on the 7th, July 7th. We're going to be doing Drinking and Dragons. It's going to be audience interactive Dungeons and Dragons drinking game. So if you want to come intoxicate some players, I'll be announcing who we have lined up. We have some fun people lined up for that, but I'll be announcing that in the coming weeks. So that's the next thing for this channel. But for tonight's, I will kick it over to you, Rich, and let's get rolling.
Me? Oh, wait. Wrong Rich. There's Rich and Richard. I will answer to Rich.
That's probably not the first time that's happened, I imagine.
No.
Well, how about if I kick it over to Richard then?
All right. So we can go around. I think if everybody's been watching, they know who we are, but we'll go through and do that. I am Richard Kreutz-Landry. I'm an origami artist. I'm a game designer, and I write software by day to teach kids math. You can find me at r_Kreutz-Landry on Twitter, and I'm the guide for this session. So how about you, Ian? Hopefully people know who you are if they're watching this.
Just stumble in. I'm Ian Smith. I am a game designer and author. Use they, them pronouns. I am, just thrilled to be featuring indie games and world-building mini-games on my stream. And we were just joined by a Taylor, which means my cameras went all wonky. So I'm going to, let's see here. Boy, you're the only one who's properly framed right now, Richard, so it's going to take me just a second to get.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, we can move on to Rich. Who are you, Rich Howard?
I'm Rich Howard. You just introduced me. There it is. In addition to being concept lead and co-designer, along with these other two amazing gentlemen with Descent into Midnight, I'm also the co-host and co-creator of the podcast Whelmed, the Young Justice Files, where we analyze the DC animated series Young Justice, but we also do a lot of deep dives into the creative process. We talk about gaming, we talk about writing, we've talked to voice actors, psychologists, linguists. We've brought everybody on the show to talk about all aspects of the creative process, musicians. So you can come join us there for all kinds of entertaining and amazing discussions. All
right. Mado?
Hi, I'm Amato. I'm an amateur game designer, and I love playtesting games, so I'm here.
Awesome. All right, and then Taylor, welcome aboard.
Hello, friends. I am Taylor. I am the host of Game Closet, an informal chat show where we talk to all sorts of really awesome queer and LGBT plus tabletop role players, game designers, podcasters, archivists, what have you. I am one of the designers on Descent into Midnight. I am super stoked to be here and just sharing all the weird, cool stuff about the ocean.
I'm trying to think. Is this the
This is
first game?
time that all three of us has played.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it?
To answer your question.
Yep.
That's
Which is-
fantastic. That makes me so happy.
Which is
We-
bonkers.
We have played in some of each other's games in various times. I know I've run for Richard. I think he's run for me.
I think so.
I think I missed a game I was supposed to be in with Taylor at Con last year because we were all dying and exhausted. Oh no, I was running a game at the same time you were running a
Oh,
game.
yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. So yeah, this is the first time we've all been in together in a game.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Okay, I think I mostly have faces where faces are supposed to be again.
That's a good place for faces to be, where they should be. All right. So Rich's character is going to be new to the game, but before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about a recap of where we left off last time.
Sure, and one quick note before we get rolling. Mika was going to be part of this, and she could not join us because she fell ill tonight. So she's with us in spirit. We'll be missing our little kelp colony
Definitely.
muse. Hope you feel better, Mika. We'll have to catch her for another stream another time. But
Oh, 100%. All right. So last time we were visited by the corruption in the form of Taylor, do you want to tell us about your buds?
Yeah, so my buds are tiny little like soot sprites from Studio Ghibli movies. They're little ferrofluids with arms and legs. When they are my friends, that is, when they have been exposed to concentrated and insidious corruption, they turn into some weird, wild, wacky shenanigan
Hooligans.
who keep things from breaking, which is normally, you would think, a good thing, but
Yeah, not when they go giant and evil and all those good things.
yeah.
Let's actually talk about the corruption move that you picked up last time, because I think that's actually going to be a nice lead in to tonight's session.
What, you mean Hidden Thorns, which is
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
not ominous or foreshadowing in any way.
No.
Yes, so my garden changes to solve a large-scale problem in the community, reducing the corruption in an area temporarily. So the way that this took place was, if you remember from our past session, we had an area of our reef which was indestructible, which, again, normally sounds like a good thing. But if you are living in a community and an ecology which is based around impermanence, having something that lasts forever is actually bad.
Super creepy.
Yeah. So the large-scale problem that was solved is that my garden is slowly chipping away at this permanent structure. We ended, I think, last session on the roots of my garden cracking into that sort of indestructible coral, and the giant floating fluke rocks becoming stuck to it. So that is the large-scale problem that was solved. However, that means that the next time that a corrupted element comes into play, I am instead placing 2 corruption tokens onto that element. Corruption tokens are a game mechanic thing. If we were playing physically, or if we had, our Roll20 MS Paint map, we would be we'd be having a visual representation of our community, and we would be placing tokens to signify both harmony in the community and also corruption. So next time something happens that's bad, it's going to be twice as bad.
I'm sure everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything always works out fine to Descent to Midnight.
Especially in the
It's the
finale
name.
of the stories.
Oh, yes. All right. So last time we had this bud that was sort of captured by the whatever it was inside of that coral structure. It mutated it into this big, giant, scary thing. We took care of that at some personal cost. Kihar, in fact, also picked up a corruption move. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. I slaughtered something, and I learned how to slaughter things better with the help of the corruption.
Practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. And then Ian, so Call used their abilities to sort of capture the bits and pieces that Kihar made of this creature.
Yeah.
So what did Call do with the bits and pieces and remnants once it was destroyed?
That is a really good question. I don't believe we addressed that at the end of the session, did we?
I don't think we did.
I remember
memento
hearing
piece.
something about you took like a piece of the coral for like a memento about the situation, but I don't remember anything else.
Yeah. As far as the disposal, I don't know. Maybe if there was like a thermal vent handy or something like that we could like use as an incinerator or something, might be an option. Or maybe.
Well, let me rephrase that. So you're going to dispose of these bits and pieces. How does it go terribly, terribly wrong?
Yeah, I'll go with that. We'll say that there is a thermal vent nearby, and Call kind of used the same process they used to sort of like encase the coral structure, and sort of like wrapped it in the seabed, and just to kind of contain it, wrap it in a little egg of that, and then like used its telekinetic force to basically put a pot lid on the thermal vent with that thing in there, and just try and like
pressure cook it.
Yeah, exactly. Just pressure cook it out of existence.
All right, I'm gonna guess that seems to work very well. Now, Rich.
Paul's pretty happy with it. They feel pretty proud of themselves about that solution.
So, Rich, you want to tell us a little bit about your character and what happened? What went wrong here that called you into being?
Yeah. So, I guess all you guys know is that now there seems to be an additional presence inside your guardian link, psychic link. A quiet, calm, peaceful, innocent presence. Reaching out with more empathy than language. Like listening in on the things that you are communicating to each other. There's a sense of fascination and wonder and feeling lost and confused. I don't know if you want me to go into detail or you want it to just come out and play, because I can absolutely give you one.
So where are all of you at the moment? You've got this taken care of. Everything seems to be going great. There's the new fused fluke and coral mound that is sort of fused together into this one structure as it's being healed, and the garden is expanding into it. What is everyone doing at this point?
I think the buds are just kind of milling about and hanging around, maybe bringing, because we said my garden is hungry, maybe bringing bits and pieces of food and rocks to like crumble up over the roots that are new and sprouting around. I would like to spend downtime tending to my garden here.
That sounds like a great thing. Let's do it.
I'm going to roll plus altruism, which is much better than I started last session with.
You mean not as much fun?
Yeah. Rolled a 7, so plus 2 is a 9.
All right. And what do you get on a 9?
On a hit, my garden thrives and holds 3 growth. I don't get any of the fun bits that I would have normally gotten.
Okay. All right, so you've got some resources to spend as we go further into the evening. What about Kihar? What's Kihar up to as sort of things appear to have calmed down?
So I am pretty sure that Kihar's nightmare scenario brain is just like the wheels are turning and it's like, okay.
Mm,
So there's a there's a bunch of undying coral that have been, building a tower of immortal, you know, zombies, and no one knew about this. And so Kihar immediately is like, no, people knew, they just didn't say anything because they had joined a conspiracy. And
oh,
so
no.
and so basically what Kihar is doing is just like sort of at random for now, using their transferable consciousness, just like peek in on people's thoughts.
Oh,
Anybody who seems
interesting.
suspicious, it's just like, hey, is there anybody hitching a ride in there? Like, do you have any, just basically like a predator, just like going around and then just like surveilling thoughts with their transferable consciousness, going in.
Also,
Interesting.
in the sanctuary, there's now a red yarn connection
with all the push pins and the exactly. So yeah, basically, especially anything that's like proximal, like that lives nearby that thing, they would have to ignore it the most.
Okay.
Or basically, how much ignorance can you justify? Not, and Kiar's like, well, I'm not giving these people the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to check them out and see if they've been brainwashed or their memory's been tampered with, or if they're just like it and have all been body snatched or corrupted or something like that. So
interesting. Okay.
I'm thinking that would be doing something wondrous with my transferable consciousness, but I'm not sure.
Let's
It
hold
could
on to
potentially
that.
be like reaching out or exploring your environment if you're depending on what the end goal that you want is out of this.
The end goal is I want to unmask anything that is corrupted. So I don't know if that could also be redirecting the current, removing the obstacle of like this veil or this like
scan the environment seems pretty direct to it as well.
Yeah, right on.
You can basically ask a question and it's like you have the designers here.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's like
we all have
Every
ideas.
of us have a different idea for which
Well, it all works. But like Taylor nailed it. Really, it's like the outcome. What's the outcome you're looking for? And how to get that.
Yeah, it's I want to unmask like any deeper, or especially like, because like I'm not relying on call anymore. Because like before I was like, multi-sense guys got it. Like all I need to do is like sit in my egg in the glacier, and then as soon as anything bad happens, like someone will ring the alarm, and then I'll come to the rescue. But now it's like, no, I have to fucking do this myself. Like I have to use my powers.
All right. So I think let's hold on to that. But that is definitely where you're at when this happens, and I think that could be interesting. What about Call? What's Call up to? Having done that, taken care of it, come back to the city.
Yeah, Call feels responsible in large part because they didn't detect this thing. Like it just was in the middle of the city the whole time, and they never perceived it as a threat in a meaningful way. And so they've taken that really hard, and they've seen the damage that was wrought upon their allies, and I think that their like primary focus is going to be Kihar and Pando, and making sure that they're okay and supported and stuff, because they feel that if they had done their job properly and seen this before it was a huge issue, then none of the last bits would have happened. And then aside from that, I think that they're just trying to learn as much as they can about the coral structure, and trying to figure out what makes it tick.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then in that case, I think that's actually a good point. Let's go back to Kihar, and if you want to scan the environment, you can go ahead and roll that, and we'll go from there.
All right. 5 and a 6. Okay. I rolled a 5 and a 6. My community score is, I think, 0. So that's still an 11.
All right. So the guide, hey, that's me, is going to show you something about your world. On a 10 plus, you gain +1 ongoing until the end of the scene when acting on the information you gain. So I think with your sort of ability to go in and peek at different people, you're sort of projecting your consciousness into these different inhabitants, and you're not finding anything, right? Everything seems like people are upset, people are a little scared, but there's nothing that stands out to you as particularly sinister. And that's when you feel this presence. Rich, take it away.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're reaching out for other to sense and see, like, is there anybody in there? Like, what's happening? Is there anything I don't know or I'm unfamiliar with or whatnot? And there is. But the sense, like I mentioned before, it's this like lost innocence, like this confusion, like a lost child almost, in the direction of the giant shell Colosseum.
Yeah, so you feel your consciousness kind of being pulled that direction. Yeah.
Kiar.
Here's a question.
Yeah,
Since
sure.
the is the interconnectedness of all living things, are we now connected?
Well, I think I'm connected to pretty much the whole Guardian group through that connection anyway. So either way, both.
Oh, tight.
Yeah.
And I think like
So
I'd
you're
love
all
to
sensing
imagine a
me.
tiny little like tight camera angle, like almost like a BBC nature documentary-esque little thing following one of the buds as it just kind of tumbles and bumbles down into the shell, and as it perches over the lip, it just kind of rolls down into the center and slides into the natural dip.
Oh, of the like forum shell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that shell, I guess. I mean, Kihar, are you heading over in that direction, or should I just speak to the bud and call you would send this as well?
I'm making sure you don't eat that bud and corrupt it. So yes. Like I'm imagining like, oh great, another giant thing is gonna like the shell is gonna like start rising out of the ground, and like, you know, it's gonna be half covered in like, it's gonna be two-faced. It's gonna be half all grimy and gross. Mm-hmm. Everything that we couldn't see underground, you know, because it was on its side, is gonna be horrible. Like I have nightmares about what's gonna happen, and of course I'm still calm, still all right, time to fight again, you know.
You guys need an empath therapist in this group real bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so you head in that direction. So what you guys see is not the actual Colosseum like manifesting itself, but a creature that looks ancient, as in basically like a living fossil. I'm not the best artist in the world, but I did draw a picture.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh. Awesome.
So it's a nautiloid-like creature. It's kind of like a squid, but this is all curled up here. Mm-hmm. But on the top of it is a shell that looks a lot like the inverted shell of the massively enormous Colosseum. And it's there. It's sapient. It's jetting around. It's got on the bottom, it's got a little water jet that helps it move around. Mm-hmm. And it's moving around, and like, if there's any other like residents, like the little hermit crab guys, like all in the Colosseum or anything, it's just going up like a child, or almost like a very excited puppy. I hate to say, but like going straight up to things, and people, you know, them backing up, like, what is happening right now? And it's projecting ideas and concepts and thoughts and things at people, but it doesn't necessarily have a full grasp of language yet. But it is absolutely like piggybacking on the wavelength of your guys' psychic bond.
Very cool.
Kihar, do you attack?
I would be like, it's the opposite of what I thought. Like the complete opposite. It's another guardian. Like
I see Kihar, and
Like-
you're unlike anything else that he's seen around,
mhm,
and it zooms right up toward you.
mhm. I probably I don't know what this thing eats, but I'll probably like vomit up a fish and be like, there you go, like eat up.
Love it.
Its tentacles kind of its arms and tentacles like run around it and kind of look at it and drop it.
Mhm. I'll be like, fine, and I'll grab it again. And it doesn't know how to talk. Like, yeah, I know that like it's so unfamiliar with like any kind of psionic communication whatsoever.
I think with your transferable consciousness, like you understand this kind of communication better
Yeah.
than many people. It's scanning you. It's like learning how to your language as you guys are like just kind of staring at each other and like swimming around each other and looking at each other. It's
Mhm.
just absorbing wavelengths of
Mhm.
conversation from everybody that's around it.
Yeah, I recognize this because this is just like when I woke up here, not knowing anything but
Yeah.
having, like,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm just like, all right, like I have a transferable consciousness, like I can do this really easy. I can jumpstart any type of learning this thing has to do. So it's probably, and you guys are gonna love this, it's probably gonna be a little bit like Kihar for a while, except a baby Kihar, but a nautiloid.
Could I like sort of issue a like psychic invitation to our sanctum? Like let's go meet up there and
Ooh.
like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, that is. I don't think that's a thing that we've had happen in a game before, and I'm 100% on board. That's super cool.
We have talked about how like no matter where you are, you could project yourself into the psychic echo of the sanctuary, and kind of meet there like holograms in Avengers. You know what I mean? Without
Yeah.
having to actually travel there. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I've-
just with this new consciousness, and since Call's not right there, I think like they would just sort of like issue an invitation, like let's meet in our place. Like this thing is
Bring
clearly
me-
on our wavelength already.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I transfer the consciousness that has all of the knowledge of what this means and what the sanctum is and how to make your little area of the sanctum.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
then,
absorbs all of it.
yeah, let's
just
go
absorbs
to
it.
the sanctum.
All right.
It grabs onto Kihar with its little tentacles, like a tiny, like not a tiny. It's probably the same size you are, but like a hug
Mhm.
as you're swimming away,
Yeah.
and
Fine,
drags around you.
Mhm. Well, I have flippers, so I can still swim.
I like to think as you swim away, the little bud gets tossed up in the wakes and eddies and then just dissipates. And I'm gonna summon some new buds to see if I can't get them to do other things.
All right. Awesome.
So when I grow a helpful creature or plant, roll plus community. I think these are just effusing out of the blooms in the garden. And I rolled an 8. My community's +1. I'm gonna spend one of my 3 growth to bump that to a 10.
Ooh, nice.
So I get to choose 3 options between mobile, vocal, tactile, and docile. I'm going to choose mobile, vocal, and docile. So they can't touch anything. They're just going to get like wiped away if something touches them. But they can move, speak, and they are not overly aggressive or anxious.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
We like the non-aggressive buds.
Yeah. All right. So you all sort of project yourselves into that space together. So what is everybody's portion of the space looking like at this point? Let's start with Call. How's Call doing?
So Call is Call had like psychically shrunk a lot after that encounter with the corruption.
Yeah.
Whereas before they were kind of like seeing themselves as a barrier. They're much more inward now. I think that in the fact that there is a new presence here, they're probably trying to kind of like, square their jellyfish equivalent of shoulders and, kind of like put on a face of who they want to be, not who they're feeling right now. And maybe try and like project that sense of protection again, but it's an effort.
Okay. What about Kihar?
Kihar is like on their glacier, and there's like a snowman of Kihar, and then there's like a littler snowman of this nautiloid. And
oh, that's amazing.
And Kihar is like made it out of out of the snow on the glacier, and is very proud, and is basically so happy that like I punched the corruption so hard I made a guardian, which is like like what a magnificent blow we have against the corruption.
Love it.
Awesome. And then Pando, what's Pando sharing at this point?
So our contribution to the garden is now like a thick choking of leaves that come over any of the natural openings for light. So I think last time we said that they were like very artisanal ivy that like grows and creates little shadows in the room, but now it's just closed over with all of those lights. Pando's doing good, and we're having a normal one. Yeah, that overgrowth is something that's noticeable.
Okay. And Rich, what is this character experience like? How do they react to all of this?
I think the very first thing is that they check out the snow nautiloid and feel around it and kind of look at it. But then it turns to Call and swims straight up to Call and starts projecting concern and projects to you an image of the wonder of this place. Like, it's almost as if you get an image of seeing this for the first time through its eyes, about the things that you take for granted in this space, the friendship that you have and the link and that you have that not everyone has. And then it projects to you its own memory of loneliness for comparison. And I would like to salve wounds. So I would like to see, does Call kind of get this imagery and accept kind of the idea of this imagery?
Yeah, I think that they're very open to that right now. Like, I think that they were
perfect.
They definitely want to feel that community, and having that contrast really drives it home. You know, that even when things are rough, they still have a lot of strength together.
Nice. So I'm going to salve wounds. So that's rolling plus hope. On a hit, which I rolled 6 plus 2 for hope. On hope is 8. On a hit, you successfully render aid. If your target is a PC, they can clear a condition or hold a maneuver. Do you have a condition to clear?
I don't. I think I actually cleared my condition with what have we done at the end of the last session. So
perfect. So you basically feel, even though you were describing feeling isolated from the team, you're actually kind of maybe questioning that, like clearing that, maybe like starting to feel a little bit more of a bond with the team, and you get a maneuver that you can use during the session. Awesome. To be able to spend to help teammates.
I think as this is happening, Call will kind of extend their sort of wing-like projections of their tentacles, and sort of just like Call's large, compared to most sentient life in this area, and I think that they'll just sort of like encapsulate it, like kind of like in a little envelope hug with 2 of its tentacles as that happens. And we'll just send a question of identity, like who, not what is your name, but who are you,
right?
Like,
and I think it's starting to learn a little bit of pieces and basically responds with, I'm this. And it gives you this projection of you get a feeling like you get when you are connecting with the echo and that feels like it goes on forever far as through time. But then there's a sudden image of history. And just to keep it relatively straightforward and short, it is one of the last members of the species, the sapient species, that created the shell that you have in the Colosseum. But it was a prehistoric sapient being, and their civilization were wiped out. And so it is a living fossil. But before before its mother could pass away, which was the shell that you have in your city, the mother actually was a seeker, connected very deeply to the echo, and took its child and tucked it into like a pocket dimension within the echo to protect it, kind of like Kal-El being sent to Earth, right? Yeah. And it's been there, but something tore it out of the echo, Taylor, and brought it back into, like, out of this time, this like almost like pocket of null time that it had been in for so long. So the world looks totally different, but the images that you get from its like childhood are like, these prehistoric giant, hydrothermal vents, and everything looks different. The whole topography of the whole area looks entirely different than it does now. But it has no idea what caused the problem back at that time. But it has lived in the echo so long that it is very tied to it, and it's as much a part of it as it is of the physical world. But it's also filled with this hope now, this hope and ideal. Like it is here, and life continued, even though there was something that didn't before. And it has sadness in it. You sense that it has a lot of sadness in it, but it has this hope wrapped around it.
I think
it doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
You guys have to name my character.
Oh no. As that feeling subsides and washes over, I think some of the buds might come up and like nuzzle it or whatever.
It nuzzles back.
Yeah. So I have a team move. When you spend time nurturing a teammate's emotional or physical wounds, they may clear a corruption. So go ahead and take one of those starting corruptions off your character, Rich.
Okay.
You're here now.
We're having good times.
Yeah.
Wait, don't you have something about clearing something or other there, Rich, in your core move?
Oh yeah, I do. So I'm playing since we have not technically, I think, introduced yet, the Touchstone.
Oh, yeah.
The Touchstone character, I'll read a little bit of the blurb. Corruption can never extinguish wonder as long as life maintains hope. True, deep, and genuine compassion can transform not just a single life, but the world in which it lives. My core move is called A Light in the Darkness. Once per session, when I clear a corruption, I may instead describe how I improve the community and place a harmony token in the community instead of clearing my own corruption. And when I resist corruption, when I'm asked to resist corruption by the guide, I use a different move that gives me different results. It can still go badly, but it's not quite the same. And then I have two other moves. The one that I chose for the moment is Bondmate. You have a bond with one of your allies that goes beyond normal friendship. Choose an ally as your bondmate, and I give them some benefits of protection. At first, it was going to be Kihar, because we related on this ideal, this new being level. But once we got to the sanctuary and kind of met everyone and got connected, it feels like Call needs more love and help. So for the moment, Call is the bond. I can change the bond after any scene, but the person that I unbond with gets really sad and has to take a condition.
Wow.
So I don't do that very often, but I'm going to bond with Call at the moment.
I dodged a bullet.
I'm just going to keep bonding and non-bonding with you until you go unconscious. I get to choose a second move, of course, as well, but I'm gonna take that option and hold off because there's a few really good ones. I just don't know what direction the game's going to go in, and I'd like to kind of highlight some of the things that'll work. So we'll do that since it's a one shot.
All right.
That's it.
So
But I will take that lack of corruption. I will just take it off. I haven't been in the community long enough to know what's up with the rest of it.
All right. So Amado, you did get a 10 plus on that scan the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you, well, here, I'll actually open it up to you. So what do you think, now that you don't have the distraction and you know what's going on with Rich's character and what that presence was, what is the thing that is now clicking into place about the creatures that you were sort of peeking into?
So they're not aware of it either.
Nope.
That's basically it.
Okay.
Like the corruption was in us the whole time.
Okay.
Like that's basically it. The corruption's been hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Like because when I fought the thing, I'm the only one who's actually fought the thing.
Yeah.
When I fought it, and it was crushing me,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, like, you can't hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm invincible, because I'm in
Right.
my shell and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that made me closer to it, even though it was not working its way into me.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically what I realized is that, like, sort of a entanglement type thing,
Yeah.
where you don't need to touch the corruption for it to grow inside of you, because everybody's got some already.
Mm-hmm.
And so the veil is really just sort of hope is the veil. So like not believing that like you could ever fall to darkness, that's like sort of the overconfidence.
Ooh.
Is basically the veil. And that's why so many people weren't seeing it, because things are so good.
Yeah.
And so basically I'd have to pop that bubble for everything to really realize what's going on.
That hits home. Not gonna lie. All right.
You didn't want me to write the answer to this stuff.
All right. So it sounds like the corruption is already there inside of everything, and that's how it was able to hide, is because it had that little foothold.
Mm-hmm.
So Taylor, we've got those hidden thorns hanging out. We've had some time to kind of bond, and we have this new being who has sort of come out of the echo, and we're not 100% sure why or how, but they're here now. What do those hidden thorns do to show themselves at this point? We've got
I got a good idea that I've been holding on to.
Okay.
Since Rich gave his spiel about what happened with his character and how they came to be here, I think that now that bubble in the echo has popped, that shell is the second oldest thing in our community, and now it too starts to crack.
No.
And we had said that that was a like a central spot for our community because it echoed and amplified and gave everyone their own voice. But now this crack has immediately disrupted all the acoustics in our world. So the singing of the hermit crabs, the talk and like communal vibrations of our world and our environment, and I think like everything goes silent for like 5 seconds, and then like you hear a couple splashes of the salt horns as they come through, and like it's just cacophonous. It's the like wild chaos of the sound of nature, and there is no harmony in the shell anymore.
That's terrifying. I love it. Okay.
And the buds immediately just like scamper and run down, and they're like rolling over all of the cracks. They like some of them are trying to like pull it together, and some of them are just like trying to flip, because as it's cracking, like little bits and pieces are coming up and they're trying to catch it and pull it back down. Nothing is working.
Okay.
I would like to be there I have the follow me ability to travel quickly over long distances. So I'm just gonna scoop everybody up and be at the shell. Yeah.
All right, do the thing.
I think so. If this is, I think probably I'll just use the travel. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'll mark a condition and be there instantly. So
Okay.
Call will just sort of like extend their tentacle wings and just sort of like gather everybody into like a hug. Some whatever aspect of Pando is handy. Just symbolically, and then you feel them pull you in tight, and then it's almost as if Call turns like inside out and just like there's kind of a moment of vertigo as your up becomes down, but you're now in at the edge of the shell looking over the edge.
And you're there. Yeah, so Rich, how does this make you feel, buddy? You're muted.
I don't want to talk to you about it, apparently. I am still processing being here, and I recognize this as my mother's shell, and it is cracked.
Would you say that maybe this is I don't know, traumatic maybe, or
I think there's a whole lot of process here that's traumatic. And I think maybe as I was connecting with all these different people, I was getting bits and pieces of the history of the community and the importance of this place. I think I was feeling a lot of like honor and joy that like my mother's shell was being used in a way that brought community together in a way that I know that she loved and appreciated. I'm going to retcon all that so I can make this as painful and terrible as possible now.
Please.
Okay.
Because this is why I play BBTA games. Yeah.
If you're not making yourself sad, you're not doing it right.
I'm not doing it right. This is just me. Give me the bleed. I love it. Okay. So, yeah, it's terrible. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I'm concerned. I'm worried. I don't understand what's happening at all. Like I've lost and then I gained and then I've lost again. And it's been about 20 minutes.
All right. You want to roll me an endure for enduring physical, emotional, or psychic trauma?
Do I want to?
I
Will you please?
Will you please?
9.
All right. So let's see. On a 7 to 9, choose one. The trauma unsettles you, and you mark a condition. The trauma impairs your physical, emotional, or psychic defenses. Mark corruption. You attempt to defend yourself. Goes wrong. That one doesn't really. Well, it might. Expose an ally to danger, or the trauma damages you in some way. You take -1 ongoing and remain in pain, distressed, or distracted until you receive help as defined by the narrative.
I think that my whole appearance here, I'm going to mark a condition. I think that's the most.
Okay.
I think I'm going to mark the condition that I'm currently feeling myself, which would be conflicted by the confusion and not knowing like what am I supposed to do and where am I, and it's only even just now settling into me that I am the only one of my kind left.
Right.
And it's like there's so much stuff going on. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, where I'm supposed to be going. What I do know is I left the loving comfort of my mother and my family, and I woke up with almost an immediate family again. Like that sense of connection psychically with people who I feel like want to do good. But the rest of the world, I already don't know what I need to do. So I'm conflicted.
Okay. How's Kihar doing with all this going on?
So this shell, like, what was its actual purpose in the community? Like, was it
so
like, do we rely on it, or is it just convenient?
I think it's almost like the I think we said it was like a place where you could sort of focus into the echo like more clearly. And I think we were talking about where it was somewhere where like it focused the volume and like the experience of the song to whatever was like just right for anyone who went into it. So I think it was like sort of a, I can imagine it would be sort of like a park almost.
Yeah,
Or
I felt from the first.
I remember.
What I got was like it was a big social gathering place in
Yeah.
a good way. Like maybe politics, maybe not. Like it was Senate related, I guess, but like it was a gathering place for community. It was important to community.
I remember now. I mentioned something about it. I hope I did, about how it basically it normalized everybody's
Yeah.
so that everybody could be audible.
Yes.
That's right.
And so when this happens, like I have to be all bluster and I have to like catch everybody and push them back up. I'm like, we never needed this thing. It was just convenient. We're psychic. Like we can alter the levels of people to hear them ourselves. Like this has just been something that's nice, and now it's gone. And now we have to do it, but we've always been able to do it. And so like,
what happens when we're gone?
We'll teach somebody else how to do it, and they'll do it just like we're doing it. Or maybe they'll do it better. Or maybe they'll have to figure out how to do it well enough. But either way, we can remember this thing and tell everybody about it so that they understand that like this is possible and that like it used to be so natural. And that's why it's not going away. That's why we haven't really lost this thing, even if it's not working right now. So I guess I could make that into a salve wounds if people want to listen to me.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I don't
Rich is
think.
muted, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think that lands for Call actually.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't land for Pando.
It may land for the community, but it also doesn't land for me just because it was my mother's shell, and it's massive. It's huge.
Yeah,
It's a massive thing. But I have other emotional attachments to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the community, I might be okay with some of that.
On the Guardian level, so like on our special level, I'll be saying to the newbie, to rookie, like, I know you need more than this, but I'm using my big voice right now to speak to the community first, because we can take care of each other later. That's part of what being a guardian is about.
I acknowledge that.
All right, so like, I'll be with you in a second. Right now, we're doing,
I'm all up on your face, like just like I'll be with you in a minute. No, I'm not doing that.
A couple of the buds like stretch out into like longer shapes and form like a series of different like strings, and the water currents blow through them and create a voice that says, isn't memory just another type of permanence? If we have been struggling against, the corruption in the form of permanent physical structures, but allowing permanence of memory and a connected process and a connected way of life that lasts forever, isn't that a corruption in itself? I'm afraid about the precedent that might set. So this is me telling my friend about a fear that I hold. How do you help me face this? If you have, do you have a plan or do you hesitate?
I mean, I have a plan. Like, so I always have a plan.
To address permanence of memory?
And then afterwards, I'm going to explain to you, no. I'm going to explain to you that, like, permanence is a refusal to die. And building memories is about, it's sort of like an inchworm is moving and shedding and leaving itself behind and its waste and stuff like that, and it's like eating new stuff and it's changing and it's moving throughout time, but it's constantly in a state of regeneration. And so like the difference between us doing what we're doing and the corruption is the corruption wants to just grow all the way throughout time, and wants to be like a continuous line and not to be moving.
So our memory will change, and we will have different memories. That
No, they'll be the same, but because of repetition, not because of being drawn out continuously. And that repetition allows for adaptation. It means that if you take a slice of time, that it's different from the other times because it's built on everything before it, just like the coral, the actual coral, not the corrupted coral. The corrupted coral is a spire of living coral. And the ones that are beneath the surface are pretending to be dead. Like, just to put one over on us, they were pretending to be dead. Whereas the other corals are actually skeletons. They're actually dead. And only the outer surface is alive. Building upon what their ancestors have done.
Is this where we start singing Circle of Life? Is this the cue? Or is that later? Okay.
So I don't know if... So like I'm explaining that like, because this is who I am, and I'll like bring it home completely. Like, I have a transferable consciousness. That means I don't live forever. I die all the time, but I start over again. And like the entire reason I'm here, I'm not from here. I landed here at such a force, like with such an impact that it killed me, and I forgot everything I used to know. But I started all over again. I'm here with you guys. And like I've become part of this community. And I've learned, you know, like what like an entire annual circle, what a cycle is here. And what it's been like before, just by talking to people, just by using my transferable consciousness and my psionic abilities to like fit in and to learn. And so like just because something changes doesn't mean that everything's going to hell. Like we're not lost because we've lost one thing.
As you said, I float up to you and start wrapping around you in a big hug. When you say, what did you say? Just because something changes doesn't mean we're going to hell.
Exactly.
That's when this living fossil wraps around you. The hug.
Exactly.
I think my fear is not that some things will change, but that memory makes things stay the same.
I'm like, memory doesn't make things stay the same. I just told you, like, if you lose it and you rebuild it again and it happens to be the same, it's still not the same because it's rebuilt. It's regenerated. Gone away and come back. It just happens to be the same way because it still works. And
memory is always changed by who carries it. I can't have the same memory you can.
It's a persistence of concept rather than a persistence of physical being, though.
But you can't convey the same exact concept because it's contextual. Your experience is different from my experience and doesn't allow us to understand things in the same way. Your understanding of a thing cannot be the same as mine.
So, right about this time, so Rich, a shell that you see breaking apart into chunks and pieces, sort of
while we're philosophizing.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Sort of half held together. It seems like you've been communicating mostly in images and feelings and memories and like projections.
Yes. So far, yeah.
So far. What does your character, how do they picture this shell? How do they picture their mother?
You mean literally or figured? I'm not quite sure what the question is. So
the image in their mind when they think of their mother, what does that look like?
So there's a physical image and an emotional image. And the emotional image is about community and about reaching out to things in places that are farther off than what's near you, like knowing and understanding other things and bringing them together and understanding that all things are connected in community. She was a seeker, so that's what she did. And so that's why this shell in particular is so kind of connected with the ego. And so, but to see it break and shatter, like I've got the memories or the idea from other people in the community about how important this place was, but I'm now coming to terms, thanks to Kihar's speech, about a reminder about impermanence and a reminder about that just because we've lost something doesn't mean we lose everything. Has helped me remember my mother as she was and let go of this physical representation of her. Does that answer your question?
It does. So,
if you zombie my mother, I'm going to end you.
You wound me. You wound me, sir.
So do I get to stab some wounds or not?
So,
asking all these people, hey, do you accept my help? Nah, man, get out of here. That's why the touchstone is here. It's like, nobody listens to me when I say all these helpful things. You need to repeat exactly what I say, and they'll listen to you because you're cute.
Welcome to my whole life.
So, the interesting thing about this city, right, that we established from the very beginning, is there are these stones that sing, that vibrate, that cause this flurry of bubbles, mostly near the surface, as they vibrate and they turn and they sing.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's a little strange when there are bubbles that begin to come from below.
That have been underneath. I picture like the shell is upside down like a bowl, and it's been kind of sitting in the earth basically. And so now that it's cracking and moving, like there's bubbles that are up from underneath it.
Yeah. So something's starting to bubble up from underneath it.
I'm sure it's fine. It's all fine.
Yeah.
Can I?
A couple of the buds are gonna like scoot underneath there.
Oh, that worked out real well last time a bud went somewhere.
Listen, I refuse to learn any lesson.
Memory is permanence. Forget it.
Memory is permanence. Yes, so we are scanning the environment as my buds are sliming around in the underside of this shell.
Okay, and somebody else was saying something?
Oh, I was gonna multi-sense and just see what I could detect about the kind of, do my sort of spectrographic,
Okay. It's very warm and sulfurous under there.
Nice.
It didn't used to be. Taylor, go for it.
You like to hear that. Yeah. Here's my roll plus.
Nice.
That's some harmony right there.
It's real good, is what it is.
Oh,
You're gonna have so many advancements. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So Rich, I'll ask you this.
Okay.
Even though Taylor made that roll, actually, maybe you guys can workshop this together. What is the worst possible outcome?
Oh, I think it just explodes, like undersea volcano, like horrific, like. And this is more than just like a tectonic plate convergence volcano. This is like the tectonic plates between our world and the Echo are bumping up into each other.
I think when this pocket dimension, when this pocket timeless thing disappeared and I came out of it, like, because the Echo, the physical world, if the Echo's the ocean, the physical world is like an iceberg that's kind of like solidified out of the Echo. So like the Echo affects the physical world and vice versa. So I think that when this thing ruptured that released me, this pocket, then there was a physical manifestation of that as well. And as Taylor was saying, like this colliding of real and physical, and probably some, because there's all kinds of methane pockets and stuff. That's one of the things in the Bermuda Triangle is sinking ships, are these huge gas bubbles of methane coming up under ships, and then the ships have no support and they crack in half. So
Yikes.
this is a thing that could happen, and so it could be an explosion, or it could, maybe not an explosion. I don't know. It could be something terrible like that. I'm in.
Yeah.
All right.
I think moral of the story is the buds are just annihilated, and Pando is like temporarily just gone.
I think that's the moral of the whole game.
All living things are temporarily not connected.
Pando's like, this connection to all life thing is way overrated.
Jeez.
So much pain.
Yeah, I mean, if I were anyone but me, I would say I hate to ask for this, but please, can I roll to endure?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
We should put that in the rules. You can always ask to roll for endurance.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
you hate to see it. Just kidding. You'll love to see it. So I'm rolling plus conditions marked, and I think I still have isolated from the last session. Did I have?
If only
I know I
somebody
had
tried
one.
to salve your wounds 3 times.
There's some kind of irony with Pando having the isolated
Yeah,
connection.
I know, right?
the interconnectedness of all living things.
The interconnectedness of all living things is feeling
Yep.
alone.
That's
Uh,
real heartbreaking.
I rolled decently for this one. And by decently, I mean low, because you want to roll low for endure. So I got a 5 total.
Okay.
So I avoid consequence and harmony as normal. I think I'm just gonna mark harmony, and I'm not gonna avoid the consequence, but I think just obliterates the buds and like their little weird ferrofluids settle.
All right. So Rich, what happens to the shell pieces in this?
I think
Explosion.
I think there's like a huge sinkhole, and I think the pieces of the shell break and shatter and start collapsing into the ground.
Okay. What happens to the flukes, Ian?
I think so. We had like I was envisioning like what half a dozen flukes or
Yeah.
so kind of scattered around the
Thereabouts.
city. I think they're all being pulled sort of into convergence over the shell. You know, there's the one that's anchored to the coral, but all the ones that are still like free floating are starting to just they're not sinking, but they're all like coming close in over this.
Ooh. All right. And then Amado, what's happening to the to all of the hermit crabs?
So,
As all this is happening, what are they doing?
well, half of them are jumping off the flukes that are moving over the giant volcano, and the others are, just just staying on it and stuff like that. And,
Okay, just trying to read it out.
no, they're like ready to die probably.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Okay.
well, because they're just gonna, the Titanic is sinking and the musicians are playing on it and stuff like that.
Well, the song is over, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the song ended pretty definitively just now.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I
So
mean,
basically, what Kihar would do then is all the ones that are like running for their lives, I'm gonna help them, and all the ones that want to go down with the ship, they know what they're doing.
Okay. So in all of the panic and the confusion, there are there's a light coming from below, right? So the shell disintegrated, and then the ground just sort of like sank. Like we said, the flukes are coming towards the center, except for the one that's anchored. But there's this like weird purplish light sort of erupting up from below, and in that there are these shadows as all of the salt horns are jumping off of the fins and trying to scramble onto the prism fish. And oh man, yeah, this is real bad. So we know
Sorry,
what Kihar's doing.
I broke your city.
So we know what Kihar is doing. They're working on saving some of the hermit crabs and getting them out beyond the rim of the sinkhole. What is Call doing at this point?
Call. I think Call's first instinct was to try and hold the pieces of the shell together, like telekinetically, just bolster them from the bottom. But I think it was like trying to hold really fine sand in your hands. It's just like they couldn't balance enough to keep it all together. So I think at this point, what they might be doing is, I think that they're gonna raise a wall out of the seabed around it.
Interesting. Okay.
To try and ward the city a little bit, direct things up instead of out at the rest of the city.
Okay.
I don't know if it's kind of a not on my watch, defending the innocent and using your surroundings to your advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is plus hope, and I did mark despairing for my marking and condition earlier. So
if only someone had salved your wound.
Are we entering this as it's entering something as a team?
I mean, yeah, I think you're about to.
I don't think we're prepared for anything, but I do think we're trying to act together as a team to help people, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to bring my buds back because I don't think I'm there yet.
Okay.
Quick, give them a roll. I got 9.
All right.
So they're going to be mobile and tactile, which means that they can't talk and they are overly aggressive or anxious.
Sounds about right for the situation.
Good.
Yep.
Good. I rolled a 5 minus 2. So,
Oh dear.
my wall is not awesome.
Okay. So you're going to mark harmony for that, which is a good thing. I think we can safely assume that if we were playing with a map in front of us, the sinkhole would be the thing where we'd be dumping all of our corruption tokens right about now. All right. So yeah, this wall. So how is Call attempting to do that? Like, what does that look like as they're doing this?
I think that they're, the way Call has developed, they end up shaping the seabed a lot. So I think they're just using their telekinetics and kind of like, the sides of the crater they're scooping up, kind of to widening the hole underneath, but trying to kind of like cone it at the top to sort of just protect the city as much as possible.
Okay. So I think as you're doing that, the flukes sort of are gathering into the center, and basically as you're bringing the walls up towards them, you see them just sort of go down into the hole in just like this lightning fast, just whoosh, and there's huge
like
suction
suck down a drain.
Yeah, exactly. And like you can see like things are being pulled in towards the center. What are you all doing?
I was envisioning Call is over it and like pulling things toward themselves. So I don't.
Oh, okay. So
if that doesn't make sense with the narrative,
out of there.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's where my head was.
okay, so I mean that's perfect. So you're right below the flukes as they're coming down to crush you.
So one of my powers, which I did not discuss, is I have the two powers I chose were power negation and entanglement. And how I thought about the power negation was that a lot of powers require work through the echo, psionic abilities. And I know how to basically calm the tides or adjust the flow of the tides of the echo to kind of, maybe not completely negate powers sometimes, but reduce their effects and things. And I don't know if that's necessarily helpful here, but the entanglement is like a manifestation of, I don't know for those of you who have, I don't know why I would use Young Justice as an example, but for those of you who've seen Young Justice,
No.
Strange.
But Mara, who uses hard water constructs to manifest tentacles and things like that. So that's what I picture the entangle is like. It's like grabbing, and I'm picturing this character like manifesting tentacles and pulling like hermit crabs and people like trying to pull them out of this maelstrom off to the sides. And if Call is going to get injured or damaged, he is my current bondmate, and I can feel this, and I may be able to help with if you end up having to roll something to not get hurt.
That sounds like a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So gosh, what would we do?
I mean, so I guess when it was clear that the flukes were falling, they would stop using their telekinetics to try and shape the thing and just try and deflect it, or
okay,
make a little shield for themselves or something.
I have a fun, good idea.
Ooh.
Oh, I love Taylor
those.
good fun ideas. They're
Which is out of the sulfur and the exposed muck and the dirt that has been lying protected for who knows how long, exposed to the plankton infused water. These nutrients just spur a very quick and rapid growth, and you don't have to build a shield for you because Pando is going to do it.
Ooh.
that's
So when I grow in a garden to defend my allies, I get +1 ongoing to defend another.
Okay.
So I'm doing that, and my defend another is going to roll with. Should have printed out the moves sheets.
Let's see. That's a base.
Altruism, which is +2, so I'm getting a +3 to this roll.
And Rich, the bond move that you have.
Basically, if my bond has to roll endure, resist corruption, or what have we done, they get to roll it and consider the roll 2 less than it was.
Okay.
So it reduces your effective conditions or corruption or whatnot by 2.
All right.
Ooh, not great.
Harmony.
So I rolled a 4. +3 is 7.
Okay.
If I blow the last 2 growth that I have, I can bring it to a 9. But if someone wants to use a point of maneuver,
I have a maneuver as well. Can I use it?
No, Kihar, you and I both have maneuver from my team move. When you tell a friend about a fear you hold,
nice.
have a plan.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Call has a maneuver, and we didn't roll for act as a team as well yet.
Yep.
So
That's probably going to be next.
We're terrible guardians, basically. Bad at this.
Kihar, if you can tell us how you are helping me make this garden, helping us make this garden, that'll be a 10 on that defend another check.
So you're building a garden over the hole?
I'm growing it over call, so that they are not damaged when the fluke falls on them.
Sweet. So you're like armoring them, basically.
Essentially, yeah, just like making an armor out of my garden.
Well, I guess concrete needs like or what's it called? Bricks
Substrate or
need
whatever?
straw, and so like I'll just like make I'll make a shell around myself. Do that egg thing, but then I'll just immediately break it, and so that you have like some
Oh, cool.
some extra like stronger scaffolding type crap to put in it to make it more to make it stronger.
Mhm.
So I'm giving you
like-
some of my bones.
Fantastic.
Excellent. So on a hit, I protect my ward, and because it's a 10+, I don't have to choose any of the weird compromising effects from 7 to 9.
Okay.
Right on.
So so how does that work? What does it look like as the stones, the flukes are starting to get sucked down, and Call is able to maintain position, and is buffeted around, but is not just utterly smushed by them.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I want to know what this looks like from Panda's standpoint. Like, what is their garden? How is their garden fending off these flukes?
Oh yeah, I think it's the same as my what is that move? hidden thorns,
Mm-hmm.
where there's just like arms of plant material that is reaching up to these flukes and tying them to the ground. But it goes two ways, so they can't go away, but they also can't get closer. That plant material is just a little bit too tensile or what have you.
Okay, so it's sort of like a web between the stones, so that they can't like come together and totally crush.
Yes.
People. Okay.
It's fantastic.
Love this
I think-
permanence you're creating.
It's not. This is living material. It will die. It will decay.
All
He
right.
says, convincing themselves.
The heat death of the universe will claim us all at some point.
All right. So the stones have come together almost, and there's a pocket in the middle of the five that have come together. And Call is in the middle of them as they're starting to be sucked down really, really fast towards that pit, that sunken pit. But you are able to, with that help, sort of avoid being crushed and then slip out upward. What do you do next?
I think so. Call can move very fast when they want to. So I think they're just gonna like goosh, like a bullet and kind of shoot towards the surface and just kind of try and get a higher perspective on this.
Okay.
And see where their allies are. That's their main concern. They thought they were protecting them, but then they ended up being a liability. So now they're trying to check in on where their fellow guardians are.
Okay. So you're looking around. As you get near the surface, you notice that the Salthorns, who had originally sort of fled outward, are starting to converge again at basically the opening where the flukes, because it was like a circle of flukes essentially that like had this like roiling area in the middle of them, and the prismfish sort of were around that. And so it was like an opening, right, in basically like a lily pond. Now that they've sunk, the Salthorns are starting to converge towards the center, and you sort of get near the top, and you're looking down, and then you sort of notice them, and you see just a ring of them on the edge of the prismfish, all looking inward.
Oh,
Yikes.
uh-oh.
Like down into the ocean inward.
Yep. What are y'all doing? As Call gets up towards the surface and sees this.
Do these flukes look like they're gonna fit together like Pangea or a jigsaw or something like that?
Oh no, they just look like, a set of, those old World War II cartoon bombs, they just go right down into the pit. That's still sort of emitting that purplish, weird light.
Well, I'm going straight to Call to make sure that Call's okay
All right.
after that drama.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna check out the salt horns because they're not psionic, right?
They are not sapient as far as you're aware.
But they're acting sapient right now,
A little bit.
or they're acting in an unexpected and organized way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's true. I think Call is just gonna sort of test the waters there psychically and kind of reach out to them and see if they are psychically different than they have been in the past.
Absolutely. You don't even have to roll for it. There is something wrong. I think Kihar, if you reach out as well, like that little bit of something that everyone at the bottom had that you noticed is magnified about 100 times in these creatures, and they don't have the presence of mind to be able to fight it.
Well, I can fight it for them.
So right about then, like as you all sort of have that moment, they start diving down into the water, which they don't usually dive very far because they're easy prey for predators. But it's almost like a waterfall, as just more and more of them are just swimming straight down in this column towards the purple pit below. What are y'all doing?
I reach out to call. I don't know these creatures. Is this normal?
Well, I'll tell everybody they're under control. Like the corruption's taken over, has obliterated their minds, and is forcing them to do this. Don't let it happen.
I'll project an image of like normal salthorn behavior to
Right. Just like an animal. It's like animal hunting and eating and sneezing out horns.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But at the same time, I would like to like make a plea to these things since they're behaving in an intelligent fashion. I want to reach out to them psychically and warn them that they're in danger and offer them aid.
Okay.
May I ride on that like projection that he's doing and use kind of with my power negation and try and tamp down any
Ooh, all right.
tamp down the effect that the corruption is having if it has an echoic element
Mm-hmm.
to it. Cool. So I don't know if that would be me rolling something like redirect the current or
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good
something
like
wondrous?
general use thing, or you could do something wondrous. Because I think
do something wondrous works.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Call?
Yeah.
All right. All right. What is do something wondrous? I hope it's something I'm good at.
it's drive.
Oh, it's drive, in which I am conflicted. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, this is real good.
So that's a 4 minus 1 is a 3.
Oh,
Excellent. All right. So yeah.
Use your negative emotions.
So I'm marking harmony. That's always exciting.
No, use your negative emotions. Do that.
so
Descent into midnight. Do it, baby.
Ooh. Wait a minute.
Oh. I forget that's an option. Yeah.
yeah, you
He
always
never
can do
forgets
that.
about descent into midnight.
I'm doing it.
Awesome.
I'm doing it.
So
All
you
right, so-
embrace the negative emotions within you. You mark
Descending into midnight is a special move. Yes. So I will mark a corruption, which puts me back up. And treat the result of any roll you just made or are about to make as a 10+.
Mhm.
After resolving the move, tell the guide who or what was hurt most by your actions and mark the condition associated with the stat. If that condition is already marked, I must resist corruption. And it is already marked because it was drive.
Yes.
Oh man.
Good.
All right, so I'm gonna roll that, and then I'm gonna talk about how I must have hurt someone. Hold on.
Oh yeah,
Roll high. Oh, I rolled a snake eyes. Fantastic. Wait, so that's still
that's actually good for corruption.
Yeah. That,
Mhm.
that's the only thing that helped me because I have 4, so 5, 6. So I managed to do 6,
Wow.
which reduces me back by 1. So I managed to hold back the corruption, which was terrible. I have lost a lot and gained it, and then lost it. Like learned the joy. I am on an emotional roller coaster today, and I see these creatures that have been part of the environment and the ecology and are so important in the building and repairing structure of the hermit crabs and all of this, basically going into what I suspect might be a suicidal death for I don't even know why. And so I got a 10+ on do something wondrous. Describe how you accomplish your goal, and there's no backlashes. So I send out this like pulse that basically acts like a wall in the echo between this pit and whatever influence it's projecting up. And I'm actually since I'm using Call's kind of psychic projection to ride on this, Call, I think you end up having to probably get hurt. So resist corruption maybe. As I'm projecting through you this darkness, and not darkness, but like I'm projecting through you like these raw emotions and all of this loss that I have as I'm using through you to block the psychic call that these poor creatures are coming to.
And I think I in turn channeled that as a warning to the Salthorns. Like, you need to turn around, or this is a taste of what you're going to experience. In this moment where you're, cut off from it, I'm going to warn you. Like, you need to flee.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking that that call is the one that I am hurting in this case, but it's up to the guide. Like, I think a resist corruption is appropriate, but how about you?
Yeah,
Taylor's nodding his head.
I have an idea here. So yeah, I think that totally makes sense. Ian, if you want to roll that.
Sure. So that's plus current corruption. Rolled a 7, and I have 3.
That's a 10.
That's a 10.
All right. That's not good.
The mark and additional corruption.
All right. Yep. So
aren't you so glad I came? The power of innocent.
So yeah, you're able to sort of like channel that through call and sort of create this, like you said, like a pulse that sort of like breaks the connection long enough for the sort of cascade of salt horns to sort of falter, and you see just them panicking and swimming up towards the surface. This is probably one of the few times that any of them have gone this deep, and fortunately there's been so much going on that the usual predators aren't around, and this flow sort of falters, and sort of you can see them just sort of swimming back up towards the surface, except for one who swims over toward you, Rich. And you feel it's like you can sense this sort of tenuous tether between the light below and this creature, and it says, "It's been so long, I've missed you." And it starts to swim down.
I remember. I rolled a 9. What is that? I am upset. I rolled a 9. Choose one. I'm marking another condition.
Okay.
Wait, did you have a total of 9?
Yeah.
Can I? Is that something I can bolster with a maneuver or anything? Can I support?
Well, I don't want to go higher because it gets worse. It's an endure.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Don't bolster it. Don't increase it. You can if you want to, but it's not very nice. Oh man, I've got to mark despairing, which is the opposite of my hope, which matters so much. What I do, I created this character and I'm doing terrible things to him. Okay, so I'm sharing this through this link because I have no like knowledge or understanding of shutting this link that I have down. Mm-hmm. You guys all understood what that was.
Mm.
I'm like, is that something your mom would do?
It's not my mother.
All right. What is it?
You're my mother.
Oh, okay.
You were the first one I saw. I don't know what that is.
So it's swimming slowly down towards the center of this pit.
Trail of buds that are swimming after it.
Mm-hmm.
These buds are supposed to be so helpful and kind and fluffy and gibbly, and every time you say they go in somewhere, I get horrified.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
So they're gonna try and figure out a little bit more,
mm-hmm.
And I would love to use them to scan the environment.
Oh, that definitely sounds like a thing that you should do.
Yeah. That is rolling with community, and I rolled an 8.
Excellent.
I have a +1 in community, so that's a 9.
All right.
So on a hit, my guide will show me something about the world.
Gosh. Okay. So I think how much of the buds is sort of like quote unquote natural, and how much of that is sort of channeling something through the echo to sort of well, not motivate them, but motivate them in the sense that like get them to move and sort of like be themselves. Yeah.
I guess I haven't really defined that. I think that they are grown parts of my garden, and from like me, they are grown from seeds or spores. Um, I'll put it in your hands. Whatever's going to be the most like messed up thing, do that.
So we've said before that like the way that they move, the way that they appear is sort of like that ferro liquid where there's almost like electrified or whatever, and they just have little like bits that sort of go doo, 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 doo. And I imagine that like part of what's happening is that there are little ripples in the echo that cause that like, you know, are reflected in the physical movement. So as they flow downward, and they reach below where that pulse had been, that had sort of like protected everything above, there's a moment when at first you think you've lost connection with them, and then there's sort of like a, have you ever like gone from somewhere like sea level and gone to a high altitude, and there's that moment where like you try to go up some stairs or do some sort of physical activity, and it's like you're suddenly out of breath without realizing how that happened until you remember? There's a sense of like the thing that should be there is just not. And so I think the buds experience something like that, where it's almost a breathlessness, but instead of air, it's like it's the presence of the echo, right? Where it feels thin and like it's just not there in the space below. And as they follow this thing down, your connection to them gets more and more tenuous, but you have this sense that the sort of density of the connection with the echo that you're used to doesn't apply as the further they go, that something has happened to the substance of the echo down there.
It's not good.
Richard, I'm going to follow this salt horn.
Okay.
I am remembering things that my mother told me about the acceptance of other things. And I am going to catch up and match speed with it as it's going down.
I'm going to catch up and match speed with them as well and be ready to teleport little buddy away if we need to.
Okay. What about Kihar? What's Kihar doing with all this going on?
So like, I'm matching speed too, but I have a malleable body.
Mm-hmm.
So like, my feet have like grabbed something, anchored something really far away, and so I'm like as fast as they are, but I have like this long rope behind me.
Nice.
Like,
okay,
just
so
like,
you've got
right
like a
behind
tether.
you guys. And it's just like feet are just comically long, you know, like just grabbing onto something out there.
Amazing.
You missed me? Do I know you?
It's probably just trying to freak you out.
Well, that worked.
And it sort of stops as you've sort of like broken through the where the seafloor used to be, and there's just this bright strange purple light from below. It turns to you and it says, You don't remember me?
I say I'm not like this. I am feeling. I want to feel the voice. I want to see if there's something familiar in this voice or tone. It's coming out of a salt horn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure that I got that right. Yeah.
It's like your mom talking out of a cat. You're like,
yeah.
And your mom is like guilt tripping you the first thing she sees you, man. No wonder I'm your mom now.
You traded up.
Mm-hmm.
Did I? Alrighty. Stretchy. My mom's a murder penguin. Hashtag.
Yes. Yes.
So this is my mother.
As far as you can tell, like, are you saying that?
No, I'm just confirming.
Yeah. So you sense that presence, but again, it's like the echo down here. It's very thin and hollow.
I don't understand. Were you with me? And I like project the image of like the time bubble echo pocket dimension that I was in.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you with me? Did you come with me here?
I've always been with you. And the moment that happens, the light from below intensifies to where it's almost painful, and you just feel like a bubble, where again you have that sort of like breathless echo right around you, where it's been like dissolving and getting
Empty.
thinner and thinner, and emptiness. And this bubble just erupts and starts shooting towards you. And who is the person closest to the bottom?
I think Colin and I are right next to this salt horn. I think we'd be the closest, maybe.
Okay.
Well,
And
isn't Pando the closest to everything? You exist in all places, in all spaces, in all times, right?
Mhm.
So
We are the interconnectedness of all living things.
All right.
thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
said, we don't have a physical body, so
Right. Okay. All right. So probably Call and me are probably right next to each other. I guess.
And
Yeah.
Paul was ready to get the fuck out if we needed to. I mean, that was...
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of watching
Alright.
for something like this, so...
So, you get to react. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
What would you like to do to react?
I'll... God. So if you mark all your conditions, you fall unconscious? Is that how that works?
But you have to remove yourself from the scene in some way.
Okay.
That doesn't mean fall unconscious. It could mean run away or go away or just emotionally retreat or something.
Sure. Okay.
Your definition. Why? How many conditions do you have?
No, it's actually not as bad as I thought. I forgot one got cleared. So.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I am going to mark a condition and do a instant teleport. And if Kihar is right there handy, I'll take them too, although I'm not sure what that's going to do with their stretchy legs.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, maybe I'll leave Kihar. They can fend for themselves. I'm not worried about Kihar.
Okay. Oh yeah, and that's just an ability you can do, right? With the
Yeah. I just have to mark a
Mark the
condition, and then I
for it.
can move to any point that I'm familiar with instantly.
Okay.
So it's basically you move either from or to a place that's safe that you know of.
Okay.
So
Kihar, you see that happen, and you get that that signal that you know that calls about to GTFO. Do you just pop up and snap back up, basically?
reel up those feet. Reel them up.
Exactly. It's like the Wicked Witch of the West or Wicked Witch of the East gets smashed. Just, like
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. Reverse course.
Okay.
Kihar, horrific comedy relief.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'll grab the salt horn too. I still don't want it to like join with this thing.
Ooh, all right. That sounds like a defend another. If you want to do that,
Oh, is it going for it too?
yeah,
Oh,
It's
crap.
everything in the.
it's everything in the path. Yeah.
Well, time for me to get some harmony, I think, because I am. Unless I forgot to like get rid of this whatchamacallit from last time. Condition. I'm still selfish, and my altruism is already -1. So,
Ooh.
woohoo! And I rolled a 6 for a total of 3.
All right. That is a harmony that you get to mark, for sure. And unfortunately, on a miss, you take a hit, you end up in a bad spot, or you lash out at a friend. You get to pick 2 of those, and the salt horn doesn't make it.
Now I want to descend into midnight.
Do it. Do it.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I hate it when like it's like the escalator in nowhere when like everybody's we're gonna do this together, bink, and they're like gone. It's just like, and so like I'm not good at this. Like I have an adaptable body,
Mm-hmm.
and like, but I'm not like I'm adapting to a situation
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not optimal for. And so when I'm having to use an adaptation to do something when somebody optimal could have done it, it just it just fills Kihar with like this. This is like thousands of past lives of like use both hands, like
Mhm.
just a grandma saying like don't don't use a screwdriver as a chisel and like stuff like that, just like all these admonishments. And so that's like what's coming up right now.
All
And
right.
it just makes Kihar so frustrated that like the legs are not going to like save this thing. And so I'm guessing like I'm going to have to like also propel myself backwards
Mhm.
by just like vomiting up as much stuff and like literally like a rocket using rocketry, just propelling things. So like, and I'm also hopefully pushing away like whatever's down there, with just like all of the waste of the things that I've absorbed, so that I can use them for energy instead of that.
All right. So mechanics wise, are you doing the descend into midnight and using those negative emotions? And
Yeah, exactly. And the thing, the thing that I'm hurting the most is me.
Okay.
Like I'm voiding like so much stored like material and energy, like things that I've eaten like are meant to be used to change my body to adapt, or as fuel or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have to refill eventually, but at least I saved this stupid salt horn that's pretending to be Rookie's mom.
All right. So you get to mark a corruption, and what's the condition that you're gonna associate with that?
Do you still get a harmony if you descend into midnight?
I doubt it.
No, you consider it a 10 plus, so no.
It's like the opposite of harmony.
That makes sense.
You learn more about descending into midnight, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if it's one that's already marked, you can do that. You just have to roll to resist corruption in that case.
I'll probably.
Yeah, well, you have to mark what was you have to mark the condition associated with the move, right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
So it's drive. So you'd have to mark conflict.
So I have to roll corruption.
There you go.
Okay. There we go.
You get to resist.
Yes.
I'm allowed. So I add the one.
Any corruption that you currently have marked is what you add.
That includes the one I just got, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, I rolled a 10, so woohoo. More corruption for me.
Mark another corruption.
Give me more corruption. I need it for more moves because I'm not gonna get harmony. People just don't want to give me harmony. They want to give me more corruption. So I get to mark 2 corruption. All right.
All right.
I'm at 3 now.
So the salt horn has been ejected with you and has shot up toward the surface. Where did Call and Rich's character end up?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think, I don't know. I don't have a good landmark for this. Somewhere that's like nearby still, but like was clearly out of immediate danger.
Okay.
And
So you're still kind of like there.
I had considered taking the salt horn as well, but I elected not to and marked selfish for my condition to activate this move. So,
All right.
I'm not running on altruism right now.
All right. So at this point, all of you can feel basically as this bubble sort of goes up into where the flukes used to be, where that sort of light effervescent roiling that added to the song used to be. And you see this like bright purple light. And it slowly starts to coalesce. Rich, what did your character's mother look like again?
So like me, but so big that that armored almost hat I'm wearing on top of my head is I don't know, the size of however big that thing was, a baseball stadium. I don't know. It was huge. It was a little leviathan larger than anything that we've seen on Earth. That's my picture. Sorry, guys.
Just imagining like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man scene where it's like, what have you done? You know, like
yeah. So
what did you do, rookie?
Exactly. What did you do, rookie?
All right. So it starts out at about the size of your character, Rich, as this purple light sort of like collapses in. If you've ever seen like, you know, one of those old submarine movies, right, when the thing explodes and then it just goes back in like that. So there's this rapid condensing of that purple light. And each of you can feel that like that echo, which is like the air that you breathe, sort of like happening. All right. So yeah, but you feel that that like the air being sucked from your lungs, right? It just goes shoo, and all of your connection with the echo just is absorbed into this creature. You can barely hear each other. You can barely feel each other.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it one bit.
Yeah, this seems like a good time to. I mean,
this is the moment. Like,
yeah,
you've got the four of you there. It has shown itself. You can tell that like the light that was below is no longer there. You can feel that whatever it is, this absence of the echo has coalesced into this thing.
So this is what I feel like is happening. Let me know if this makes sense.
Okay.
My mother having been the last of this dying species, inadvertently, like the poltergeist of her is basically wanting permanence, is living in this space where she wants to go to a place where all of the death and the things and the horribleness that happened with the end of her species wouldn't happen. And she's focused on the wanting not to change things, and that's leaked powerfully into the echo around the city, and leaked into the things around, which is, of course, the opposite of what the city is based off of, which lends this permanence to the corruption. Like, don't change any. I lost everything. I want to go back to a place in which that never changes, and she's stuck there. Does that resonate with anyone?
Yeah, I was sort of going the similar way, but I don't think it's actually your mother. I think that it's a nightmare you're having.
I don't. You're a nightmare having.
Yeah, right.
No. Yeah.
Basically, you are.
I don't think
like when I was given that speech about like, no, we keep rebuilding. Like you are the seed of rebuilding.
Yeah.
Like you're starting over. Whereas this thing is saying like, no, actually, if we just stockpile all of the resources, if we just steal all of the echo, we can make like what Pando was talking about. We can make a never-ending memory that never needs to be rebuilt. That like that exists both ways through time. It reaches into the past and the future.
And it's stagnant.
And is uniform.
Yeah.
And so that's why we can't.
Pando is very afraid of that specific thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The opposite of what Pando wanted.
Yeah, but that's what you feared. Was what I was talking about, but I was talking about something else. I was trying to explain like the difference between these things and how one is natural and one is like horribly not natural and corrupted.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to forget is the most natural outlet of this.
It's right. And I don't think it's my mother either. I think it's some kind of, the only word is an echo of my mother, pun intended. That is the memory of her fear.
Yeah, I think that the corruption's taken this form to psych you out because you're the person, or you're the thing that is like probably best suited to deal with this. So just like when it struck at Pando first through the tower, it meant to disrupt like the other youngest guardian. Like it's attacking the youngest ones, and that to me is a cowardly move. Like it knows it can't win. It's attacking the weakest people. Like it's attacking the newest people who have the least control over their powers.
Then this is what I want to do. The other move that I have is called A Place for All. Every creature has its place in the world. When you show empathy towards something or someone unsettling, ask if they accept your care. I am going to reach out to this memory of my mother, and I am going to tell her that it is okay to let go. I'm going to tell her that thing. I'm going to show it images of the beauty of this new place, of how it's changed and it's grown and it's become different, and new creatures and life have come. I'm going to have it understand the concept of Pando, this unification of life, of this strange, stretchy, horrifying comedy penguin who comes from the world, and the beauty of change and letting go, and about accepting new things, which is the real lesson that she had always taught me, was accepting the new and the different and the change, and not living in that fear. So does she accept my care? Is the question.
That is the question, isn't it? I think that this echo, this image, this after shade of fear, I think it does. And I think there's a moment where all of you can sort of feel the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years that have passed, and we get like a like if it's a TV show or something, right? If we're watching this, there's a moment where like Rich, your Nautilus like sort of goes up to it and just sort of reaches out and touches it in the same way that like you had gone and like touched each of the others in the sanctuary, right? and then there's just this flash of light, and like I said, we see like the moment when your mother like laid down on the seafloor, and we just see this time lapse of everything that has happened between then and now, and then it sort of just fades, and you're left with a sense of peace, and that breathlessness that you had all had disappears, and you feel that connection to the echo come back as it sort of like fades away. And the sort of last moment that we see is the one particular salt horn who had, let's say, one of its horns was a little chipped in one place. We see it climbing onto a prism fish and like looking back at the water, and then flicking out its tongue and catching one of those little insects and just chomping on it, and then just like walking off.
Love it.
So yeah, that's a game of Descent into Midnight.
That whole time I was holding tentacles with my platonic life mate, Call.
And Call is ready to split again if need be.
Yeah.
Call's
Yeah,
very good at running away.
That whole time,
And I'm like, no, it's okay, it's all good.
that whole time I just got my thumb over the slaughter button, just like
Yep.
waiting, just in case it needs some convincing.
Oh man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, but I knew I was making the right call.
That was good.
I knew, like, Keith, the murder penguin's gonna murder everything. Nah, I got the plan.
You're the penguin with the plan.
Yep.
The penguin.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That was a ton of fun. I love running this game, and getting to run it for y'all was just awesome.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I still feel bad about destroying the whole city. I just wanted friends.
That's why you build a city, right? Is so that it can meet its eventual demise.
Apparently. Not quite sure any city I've had in Descent into Midnight has been quite so annihilated as this one.
Oh, at the end in the epilogue, does the like evil tower, does that like crumble like Sauron style, like, and just?
I think I'm gonna leave that to Taylor. What do the buds do with that tower?
Ooh, can I make a suggestion? So you already like grew your garden and the fluke into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if that becomes like the sort of the psychic anchor of our sanctuary? Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like,
reclaim it.
For as much as I griped and moaned about it, I like to think that that's the anchor that never changes ever again.
That's awesome.
And
Cool.
Richard, you zombified my mom, and I'm okay with it.
You can't just say don't do this thing, because as long as you're not excarding it and you're actually okay with that happening,
Fine. That was great.
That's the thing that's gonna happen.
That's great.
So, all right. Does anybody have any like thoughts, questions, anything they wanted to add, or are we ready?
I just wanted to say thank you. This was the first time that I got to play, actually, instead of running the game. It was very, very fun. Thank you for indulging my ridiculous cultivator.
Oh yeah, I will always jump at the chance to run something for you. Like, yeah.
I feel like in the scheme of Descent into Midnight characters, that was not. It's on the spectrum. It wasn't
The
totally
most out there one that I've seen. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is like there's always one. There's always like, you know.
I'm playing echolocation.
Yes.
The concept.
Do you guys want to talk about what is next for Descent into Midnight?
I would love to. So we right now you can go and play Descent into Midnight. We have our playtest packet up, which has all the rules that we played right here today on the stream. You can get to that at descentintomidnight.com. We really want as many people to be out there playing these rules. We have a feedback form that is attached to our playtest site. Go have fun, be the interconnectedness of all living things. You can just do it. But tell us about it. That's the thing that I want people to take away from this is really what we want to hear people's experiences playing this game. Not only does it, give us ways to make the game better, but it also is just something that's really cool and makes us feel good. So please do that. Keep your eyes out. We have a Kickstarter launching that will be launching in October that we are planning for, and we will have many, many more things to shout about then. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at DIM RPG. I think that should be my marketing spiel for that. Do you guys have anything that I missed?
I mean, honestly, no. It's like, please go out there, please play the game. We definitely want to hear about it. Like the session summaries that we've gotten from some people who have run the games have been just wild and amazing. And like as strange and interesting as this game was, like it's always like that. And like the tone doesn't always have to be like philosophical or, oh gosh, we're gonna go do a fight a giant monster. I mean, it can be fun and light, or as deep as you want to go.
Pun intended.
We've seen all of that. Oh yeah.
Excellent, good deal. Well, I want to thank you guys all so much for pouring so much blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and for sharing it with the world, and being willing to just throw it out there as an open playtest, and being so willing to like dump so many hours into playtesting it at cons. You guys have just put a ton of work in, and on behalf of the community, thank you very much. It's been fantastic. Hearing Descent into Midnight stories is one of my favorite things. So
thanks so much.
Thank you guys. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the stream and being.
Thanks, Amato, for coming on.
Yeah,
thank you.
That was where I was headed next. This is the first time I got to game with Amato. We met on DC's Discord, and it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for signing on and bringing a very distinct perspective. With Kihar was. I was a memorable character.
Yes, I love it.
Kihar, book cover. Come on, book cover.
Thank you all so much for coming. Thanks for people who hung out in chats. I will be back on the 7th with Drinking and Dragons. And in the meantime, take care of each other, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
As soon as I find the stop streaming button. There we go.